To create an effective presentation, you need to think about these components: a pineapple, a watermelon, an apple, a banana, and orange juice. And in this video, I'm going to show you why each one of these will matter to your presentation, and it will allow you to plan a presentation within minutes, all because you know the formula. But before I get into the formula, there's a link below that will help you make a persuasive presentation. Now, I'm just going to show you the key core components that you need to know. But if you want to talk to influence, check that link below. It is completely free. You'll get a poster and then 10 days of automated emails after. But let's get into it. First one, the banana is very important, especially if you're making a fruit salad. That is the base to your presentation. If you don't have a key idea or a key message, there is no point in starting a presentation. There's no point in speaking. You need to sort your presentation all around that. That is the main basis. Without that, it's going to collapse. Imagine trying to build a house with no foundation. It will collapse. That's the same with your speech. Your key message should not be paragraphs. You should be able to sum that up in 1 or 2 or 3 sentences. And in this video, I'm going to use one of my presentations as an example. I did a talk at Toastmasters about creatine, and my whole aim from that presentation was to get people to take creatine. So my key message was to show people the benefits creatine can have. But if I didn't have that key message, the next components would not work, which I'm going to get into very shortly. But that is the most important one, the key message. Everything that you do should have a key message. A meeting, what's the key message of the meeting? A presentation, what's the key message of the presentation? And you get that message by working out what your audience is looking for. What is the purpose of your speech? And to help with that key message, think, what do you want your audience to do, feel, or act after the presentation? Because that will help you create your key message. Moving on to the next one, and that is the watermelon. Now, the watermelon is all about absorbing the information, because it's very good having a key message, but if they can't absorb what you're saying, your message won't matter. No one will care. And that is why a memory device is a great component to help your key message. It's in the name. It will help people remember, because if they can't remember your message, oh, got some crap on the table, it's pointless. An example, a story. Stories are a great way of telling your perspective, your experience, or your learnings and shaping it towards your key message. For my creatine story, I used my mum as the story because it's a great way of using humour. The story was about having some non-negotiables. So number 1 was going to swimming. I had to swim once a week, no matter what. So I could swim myself to safety if I ever fell in the river, in the sea, or even a pool. Number 2 was going to Scouts. Now, if you don't know what Scouts is, they basically teach you how to survive in the wild. And every session or every lesson, I'd go to my mum after and I'd go, Mum, please can I quit? And she'd say, no, Stafford, it's the non-negotiable. You have no choice. But I don't know how going into a wood, making a fire, getting a sausage out of a tin can and putting it on that fire was helping me survive in the wild, but my mum's rules was my mum's rules. And number 3 was eating my breakfast in the morning. Because my mum knew if I didn't eat my breakfast in the morning, even if I said I wasn't hungry, I was moody by 10 a.m. And if I was moody by 10 a.m, my schoolwork was not getting done. So my mum would force me to eat my breakfast. And then later on in the story, I go through how I discovered this supplement called creatine from my head injury. And I go through all the benefits and the reason that I was taking it. And then later on, I link it back to my mum. And I go, when I was younger, my mum set me some non-negotiables. So I think, now I was an adult, it was about time I set her some of my own. So I call her up and I go, Mum, I've got you this supplement. You're going to take it 2 times a day. It's on the way. It's for you and Dad. And then she goes, a supplement? Stafford, I am the fittest in the family. I can do more press-ups than you and your brother combined. So when you can do more press-ups than me, maybe I'll think about this silly little supplement. Then I said, no, Mum, it's a non-negotiable. And then she said, a A non-negotiable? Did you get that line from me? And I said, yeah, Mum, you've got no choice. You start tomorrow. And that story allowed them to remember why they need to take creatine. Just by including my mum into it, by making a story behind my message, it makes the audience remember what you are actually saying. Because people do not remember facts and figures, they remember emotions. Everyone in the audience can relate to their mum forcing them to do something, which is why it was a great story to include. So your second one is a memory device. So you've got an idea and then a memory device. That takes me on to the third one, and we need something solid for this, and that is the apple. The apple is your impact line. Now, every story should be attached to an impact line. What an impact line does is summarize the message of the story in 10 words or less. So in my creatine story, the impact line was 2 scoops a day will keep the doctor away. That's all I wanted anyone to remember in that speech. So when they walked out that door, they knew they had to take 2 scoops a day, and that would keep the doctor away from dementia, other brain injuries. It would help with their fatigue. But that was the main emphasis of my story. That's what I wanted them to feel and act upon when they left. And after the presentation, they all came back to me and asked, what site do I buy my creatine from? Which is why an impact line is very useful. So think of how you can put an impact line in your story. Did someone say something that was so substantial that you remembered? Could you include that into your story? Another example of an impact line, less is more. Small things, big difference. You're not finished when you're full, you finish when you're done. Because you don't just want to speak to be remembered, you want to speak to be repeated. So these impact lines need to be concise enough so they can repeat it. Because if they repeat it, they definitely will remember it. And when they start repeating it, it will then get passed on to friends. And then your phrase, your impact line will get passed around. And that is how you will create a massive impact with your presentation. So you'll have your key idea, you'll have your memory device, which will create the emotional attachment from you to your audience. And then you'll have an impact line to back up that story. Then we move on to the next component, which is core foundations. Now, none of that will matter if you speak flat like this, you have no body language, and you look like you don't want to be on the stage. So the core foundations will include breathing, articulation, volume, fillers, pitch, pause, pace, and tonality. That is the building blocks to how you sound. Now, what we've talked about so far, that is the building blocks to creating the presentation. But if you sound boring, monotone, monotonous, they won't be interested. So in order to become engaging, you need to change it up. Think about contrast. Sometimes you'll speak quieter, sometimes you'll speak louder, sometimes you'll speak a little bit slower to emphasize what you are saying. Sometimes you'll speak a little bit quicker to build the urgency. So if you need to think of one thing, just think of contrast. Contrast with the core foundations, because if you're the same, you are boring. But if you are different, that is where you will create the engagement. And then after that, the last component is orange juice. Because in order to make a great fruit salad and it lasts for the rest of the day, you need to put orange juice on it. And what I mean by that is, you need to sprinkle a little bit of your own personality. Because if you are the same as everyone else, you are not going to stand out. You want to make it like a conversation. Like right now, I'm trying my best to make this more of a conversation, even though no one's talking back to me. But if you are strictly presentation mode, it doesn't feel as natural. And when you do that, it takes away your personality, your wittiness, your banter, your humor, everything that makes you you. That's why I like stories, because it allows you to give your experience, which will help bring your personality, it will bring your emotions, which then they can feel the emotions, and that's how you get the attachment. Because the key with presentations is connection. If there's no connection, you are not going to get them to feel, act, or do what you want after the presentation. The only way you're going to do that is building a connection. And you build a connection through relatability and building your personality around that. And once you've done all of that, it will then mix up into something that I call a fruit salad. We've got a bit of pineapple, a bit of apple. We've even got the banana at the bottom, and the watermelon. And you finish it off, ooh, that was a big dribble, dribbling your personality over your presentation, because that is what will make you unique. And like I said earlier, I've just gone through the most important components to creating a speech. But once you create a speech or a presentation, you want to upgrade that. And the way you upgrade that is by clicking the link below, which is completely free, and that is a poster. I'm going to put it up there. And it will show you the most important parts to make your speech or your presentation influential. How to persuade. Because even if you're not selling anything, you are still selling something. You are selling an idea, a point of view, a message. Every time you stand in front of board members at work, or colleagues, or on stage, you are selling your message. That's why it's very important that you click the link below. It's completely free, and after that you'll get 10 emails going in more detail, so you will be confident in creating your speeches and your presentations. And as I mentioned, for component number 4, to create an engaging sound to your voice, you need to create contrast, which is why you should probably watch this video too. Brekkie. A bit juicy, that one, but hell.